Hey everybody, if you like the break music, it's made by real everyday people of the 2000s. You can find them on Instagram at REP2KS.
Put the Benadryl in my butt so it's slow dissolving so we don't have to do this again.
Oh my god!
Welcome, everybody, to episode 87 of 1 Million of the Serial Chillers podcast from the Super Network studio. I am here in the Super Network studio. Nobody knows the location, Greg. The Super Network studio is top secret. You're here now. Welcome, and how goes it?
I'm good. Thank you. I'm here. I left my keys. I lost my keys to the bunker. I left my keys in the mobile bunker and locked it. It's an impregnable fortress. I can't get in to get my keys. Therefore, I can't get into the bunker. So I'm here.
I don't know whether to be offended or love the fact that the only time you ever come here is when you lose your keys. You never just come for no reason. It's fine. Anyways, find us anywhere you guys can. The Facebook, yes, I'm an old man. The Facebook is Serial Chillers Podcast. Facebook group is Serial Chillers Podcast. It's closed. Wait for the mod squad to let you in. Instagram is Serial Chillers Podcast. Twitter is @Chillers Podcast. Email address serialchillerspodcast@gmail.com. Call or text the show 1-805-666-2513. Like, what's his name?
Oh, Kilometers Tiny?
Yeah, Kilometers Tiny. And he owes his friend $50. So, serialchillerspodcast.threadless.com for all of your merchandise needs. Serialchillerspodcast.com for stickers and updates. Rate and review us on motherfucking everything, please. Patreon.com/serialchillerspodcast to give us money. Also, don't forget to check out Super Simpson Show. And welcome back to the studio. A couple of regulars now, I would say. Well, Casey, it's not even a... You're here now. You're just permanent. This corner is Bigfoot corner.
Well, I was going to say, I have the entrance to the bunker, and he has Bigfoot's nest.
Yes, Bigfoot's nest. So, welcome back.
Hey. So,
Everybody.
oh no. No, what's going on? I'm just going to go ahead and plug my stuff now because that's how I get down.
Yeah, get it.
Just go to www.biggfootdesigns.com.
Whoa, it's a website, not an Instagram now.
It
Oh,
is.
shit, dude. Do you see how things are progressing here?
Dang.
People we know are fucking making it, dude. That's what I'm talking about, you know?
It's like watching my favorite show get renewed for more seasons.
Ooh.
I'm very happy for you.
Why, thank you. Thank you. I'm happy for you.
Also, I've been
Because
enjoying
you're
the
happy
videos.
for me.
Yeah.
I need to do more videos, but
Also, the DIYs are good too, man.
yeah.
I'm part of the Updo crew. Don't trip.
Thanks, bro.
I'm in there.
That's what's up.
Also, welcome back. What are you, fourth time now?
I think so. Fourth time.
Yeah, welcome, Josh.
Yeah. Thank you.
Fuck yeah. So we're gonna do a little twist here today. Hello, Greg is going to be playing. Also, I will note because we do listen, you guys. This is California, and it's April 20th. You know, so like. All right, so Greg's going to compete today, okay?
All right. So
Greg's going to compete. So, yeah, April 20th, nothing really happens that day. Nothing from history or anything. Hella Greg's going to play today. So we've got 3 competitors doing the damn thing, competing for, that's right, as many of those gummies on the table as you want while you're competing. Yes, that's how it goes. So,
for the record, I have not seen the outline.
Yes. Well, yeah. I wouldn't let you compete if you'd seen the outline, unless it was like in a dire emergency situation.
But like other people don't know that.
Yeah, that's true. Greg is blind to this outline. It has not been shared with him.
I mean, even if it was, I probably still.
I mean, I wasn't gonna say that, but
It's okay.
That's where I'm at with this right now. So, you guys know how the show works. Let me explain it for anybody that doesn't. Each week, I sit down with old friends, new friends, good friends, and bad friends to tell them the story of an infamous serial killer. Throughout the show, you guys can chime in on my story, and if you brought a story of your own that is true crime, dark, creepy, unsolved, hip-hop, or otherwise mysterious, please feel free to share it. Lastly, if you have questions about questions, make sure to ask questions, because I cannot answer questions about questions if you never ask questions. Are there any questions?
Yeah. Can you feel the eruption, brother?
Can you feel the eruption, brother? Then welcome to and let's play the Serial Chillers podcast. Yeah, we're like, hey, at least we've been doing this long enough now for meta to be a thing.
Yeah,
it's
real life shit posting.
We're walking shit posts.
Yeah,
that's what's happened to us.
You've made it.
That's all I really wanted to be was that and a t-shirt. And now that I've done both, I can retire.
Great success. Okay, so today's killer is Harvey Carignan. Yeah, no, you guys haven't heard of him. This one is a fan request, actually. This one is from Cole Garman. So shout out to Cole. Yeah, what's up, Cole? Thanks for the idea, Braj. Hopefully we do it justice for you. Question number 1. In what year was Harvey Carignan born?
Oh, I like that you got extra high for that.
Yeah. I just think of Robbie every time I do it. And I just think, like, he's not going to really be that satisfied if I don't do it. And, you know, he's a good, loyal listener, so, you know, I don't want to let him down. Greg says 46. Josh said 62. Bigfoot said 1932. Bigfoot going to get 250 points to start this dang thing out because Harvey Carignan was born May 18th, 1927.
What year did you say?
32.
32. So, all right. Plenty of time, guys. Let me tell you how many questions we got here. I want to say it's like 14 or 16. 14 total today, okay?
Is it nice not having the extra screen on there for my dumb face?
That's nice.
Everything's bigger.
It's also nice that I know I don't have to put a book right here so Paul won't cheat, because I know that he will cheat if he could see this right here. So, Harvey Carignan, it's hard. I thought his name was Carnigan for the first, I don't know.
Everybody else is pronouncing it.
You just kind of read it.
Yeah.
Well, I for the most part, I like to read all my research first, because documentaries, you watch 3 different ones and sometimes you get 3 completely different stories. So I always try to sift through everything that's, obviously not everything that's written, but everything that I can collect and gather and sift through that's not going to take me 45 hours, and it's not green font on black background. And
listen,
it's not as bad
fucking
as
belittle my methods. Poorly produced YouTube videos with voice modulators are just as reliable as whatever you may be reading.
And then I go to documentaries normally just to see which ones are kind of reporting on, what I think is the truth. And then I found out that it was Carignan. I was just reading it backwards. It's not like it's hard. I'm just a simple man, really. So he was born in Fargo, North Dakota on May 18th, 1927. His mother was around 20 years old and single when she had him, which was, as you may know, in 1927, not that normal.
This guy's a bastard.
Yeah. What? He is, isn't he?
Bastard.
Therefore, he had a harder time than you may think. Single mom, 1927. He's being brought up as a bastard. Harvey has no real memories of his father, who she wasn't married, but he tried to be part of it for about a year, I think, before he was like, I'm not really into this whole dad
So
thing.
he was there for the formative year.
Yeah. Yes, the one. Harvey said that he doesn't really recall any memories before his 4th birthday.
Duh.
I think most kids have like at least like a handful of earlier memories than around 4. Like, I'm not saying that you're like solid in on your first birthday or anything, but most kids, like, nobody says, I have no memories before kindergarten. Like, there's just nothing there.
I've got nothing from before like 2013.
Doesn't surprise me one bit, though. Come on.
So the last couple years are just kind of gone.
Icing on the cake, he was a twitchy little kid. He's like pretty
Professor Chaos.
pretty. I love Vicky Valentine. He was. I mean, like, he can't. How do you win at this point? You're like, I'm 4 years old and super twitchy, and it's 1931, and I'm a bastard, and my
Middle of
dad
the
doesn't
Great
want anything.
Depression.
Yeah, it's going pretty good for
Mom's
him.
trying to sell him to make ends
up,
meet.
up in Fargo. In 1930, his mother gets married and has a second son. Harvey is going to claim that he was sexually abused by a babysitter and older family members. He claimed that the babysitter would rub her body all over him. He didn't know what it meant, but he knew that it was not okay. Harvey is also, as well as being twitchy, a bastard, all the things that have gone along with him getting rubbed on. Harvey is also undersized. Harvey was very undersized. He was born to a mother who obviously could hardly take care of herself, much less a newborn child. He just really wasn't able to get nutrition as a child. Maybe that's why he doesn't remember shit before he was 4 years old. Therefore, he was just a tiny little kid. He's just a tiny little guy. In 1933, he starts having what they call extreme behavior problems. He's still undersized and has twitch, but now mostly just in his face. Can you hear my twitch?
It's all localized.
Yeah. It's very prominent, like when he's having fits or when he's like really upset. You can see
So it's like stress reactive.
yeah, like he's always kind of twitchy. But yeah, when shit starts popping off, Harvey's face.
Twitchy is a spectrum, okay?
Okay, yeah, he's quite on
He's
the
on the
scale.
spectrum?
Yeah, quite twitchy.
He's in like the orange red part.
Yeah. So he's undersized. He's got the twitch in his face. He's also, I know I said icing on the cake earlier, but he's a chronic bedwetter. And he's got a very close, one of his only imaginary friends.
Yeah.
Question number 2. What is his imaginary friend's name? Is it A, Paul, B, Mike, C, John, or D, Adam? Paul, Mike, John, Adam. Well, yeah, dude, I didn't even have to look up biblical names. I just knew some. I'm pretty much like a religion expert at this point. So Greg says Paul, 2 Adams from both Josh and Bigfoot. Greg gonna get 250 points. Shooting for the familiar name. Do you, man? Do you just like? Well, I've heard this one recently. So
I know somebody by that name. That's what I would name my imaginary friend. I would name them after my real friends.
250 to Greg for that one. 250 to 250, Josh, off the board. 12 questions to go. Plenty of time. Plenty of time, dude. Plenty of time.
Might as well pack it in. I'm really starting to stretch it out now.
Time to be hitting the old dusty trail. You just tied it up with Casey. 1935, he is sent to live with his aunt and uncle in Cavalier, North Dakota. I mean, it's really nice there around this time of year.
Cool town name.
His creepy behavior and constant bedwetting would be too much for them after a while. He would soon be back in his own home. They could not handle that shit. They were like, you're going back to Fargo. So he's sent back home as soon as he's starting to feel like he was part of the family there, according to him. Aww. So he thought like, oh, I'm fitting in. Like, it's going well. Like, I think they're accepting me. They're like, listen, you know how you piss on the bed a lot?
We don't like that.
Yeah,
don't you know?
we don't really love that part.
Yeah, your aunt and I, we're real tired of washing sheets, don't you know?
Look, but I can't really help it. No, see, that's the problem. They're sick of cleaning a pissy bed. 1937, he's sent to live with his grandmother in Williams, North Dakota. ranking of the names, Cavalier, Fargo, Williams, third best North Dakota name we've heard so far. Williams, North Dakota with grandma. He's far too much for his grandmother to handle as well with his poor behavior. And also, guess what?
She was readily equipped with rubber sheets.
No. So she's not able to keep up with him. He's quite hyperactive. He's then sent to live with another aunt who is also unable to handle all that he is, I suppose you should say. He's quite a package. He arrives, and I think most of them are thinking, like, what, at this point he's
a real pill.
He's 11. So he's just like a super hyperactive, twitchy, bedwetting bastard. Yeah. Yeah, all of that. As a bastard, I say it's okay. As a bastard,
I'm a bastard too.
See, we got a couple bastards here. Yeah. As a couple bastards, we say that this bastard's a bastard. So anyway, he's living with the new aunt, and she's trying to like at least show him that like she thinks that punishing him for pissing in the bed is like that's gonna make him stop pissing in the bed. She's not, from what it seems like, she's not shaming him, but it's like, you're gonna clean it up. I'm not fucking doing this. Like, this is bullshit. You're fucking 11 years old. Yeah, exactly. You clean it up, and it's not just cleaning the sheets off. It's cleaning off the mattress, soaking it all out. Like, you pissed on the fucking bed. So it isn't how we hear with a lot of serial killers where it's like, oh, you'll wear the fucking pissy sheets to school and shaped in a toga, and you'll all put makeup on you, pretty boy.
Toga.
Yeah.
Toga party?
It doesn't sound nearly as fun as a toga
Made
party.
of piss.
Yeah, it's a real pissy yoga. I imagine that's what Homer smells like.
Piss toga.
Yeah, so the new aunt not able to keep up with him. He's eventually sent home to live with mom once more. He's still suffering from his enuresis. It's pissing the bed a lot. And he begins stealing like a little klepto. He is stealing just to steal, not out of need or even want, but for the fucking thrill of it.
This will make me stop pissing the bed.
In 1938, his mother attempted to place him in an orphanage.
They're like, it doesn't work like that. You can't just drop him here.
I just found this kid by the side of the road.
Listen, kid, what's your address? He's like, I'm right up the street.
That's my mom right there.
Liar.
She's like,
Pretend like you don't know me.
So she tries to take him to an orphanage. She takes him back in another 6 months or so. They still won't take him at the end. So twice in a year, she's like, hey,
can I just leave him here real quick? Because I'm going to go shopping just across the street.
For 7, 8 years? Yeah, 8 years should do.
Suckers.
Yoink. So, yeah, it doesn't work. So in 1939, she sends him to a reform school in Mandan, North Dakota. He's going to be there for the remaining 7 years of his childhood. Finally, while in the reform school, he is diagnosed with childhood chorea, which explains the twitching and involuntary movements that seem to be amplified when he is nervous or stressed. However, it wasn't all good in the school, according to Harvey. Between 1939 and 1946, while he was in the school, Carignan claims female employees sexually abused him repeatedly by what? Rubbing their bodies all over him. That's how women try to get him. They just rub their bodies all over him. You know what this sounds like? Is that scene in 40-Year-Old Virgin?
I was thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah, that's like what it sounds like. Oh yeah, it feels like it's full of sand. They're like, wait, sand? Like,
yeah.
Like he's just like, yeah, and they're like, they rubbed their boobies on me a lot. And I did one in my pants, I think. So
I feel like it's maybe like he's twitchy and they're like, you need to calm down or he's out of control, and so they grab him. And then because he's squirmy, there's like a lot of friction, a lot of contact, and he's like, I don't want to be here. They're rubbing their bodies on me.
I never even thought of it like that, to be honest. So
that's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
Different take, fresh eyes.
Yes. I'm looking from here. Those do not look like fresh eyes.
They're warm.
So Can you imagine, though, your mom tries to drop you off at the orphanage, and they're like, no, you can't fucking come to an orphanage. Thanks, Mom, for not. As a fellow bastard. And then, not possible. The orphanage is like, no, listen, we're not fucking doing that. She's like, fine, I'm going to send you to a reform school. And you're like, all right, well, like, okay, I get it. You need some time. Even at 11, maybe he understands it. Like, how long do you think? She's like, 7 years. Oh, do you mean like until I'm an adult and you're no longer responsible for me, mother? Yes. Like,
Exactly.
very well.
Do you think in those times before he went to the reform school, like after she tried to give him away and they wouldn't take him, she's like, all right, it's time to go to bed. And he was like, all right, good night, Mom. And she was like, good night. And he goes, love you. And she was like, love you too. And then he was like, do you? Like, I mean, she tried to give him away twice and pawned him off to literally every other member of the family.
That's
like,
because of how much she loves him.
She's trying to give him a better life.
yeah, but at 11, you're not gonna see it like that.
I wonder what the cutoff age is to return your kids. Like, how old do they have to be to stop?
I mean,
taking them to
11,
fire?
you could take them to a school and be like, you just put them there until they're 18. I don't have to talk to them anymore when they turn 18, right? Do I have to talk to them while they're here?
Listen, I want him to be the best person possible, so be as hard as you can on him. I mean, just absolutely super strict, please.
And rub your bodies all over him. He likes that.
Also, I'm a terrible influence, so if we could just have no contact for the next 7 years, too, I think that would probably be best for him.
Do you have a hole?
Do I get a discount for that?
Is there enough room for body rubbing within the hole? So, yeah, he's at this fucking school. He's twitchy. He's there for 7 years. Not all good. Female employees sexually abusing him, rubbing their bodies all over him. Like, I'm not trying to victim blame him. He's a victim of sexual abuse. It sucks, and it's unfortunate.
It sounds like he's trying to kink shame.
It sounds like he has no idea how sex works at this time. So he's like, people rub their bodies on me. That's what
Sounds to me like he's just very staticky.
That's that too. In 1946, he's finally out. Harvey Carignan leaves the reform school and enlists in the armed forces. Question number 3.
What year was this?
1946. What branch of the armed forces did he join? All right. Bigfoot and Josh say Army. Greg says the Air Force. He's one of those early foos up there smashing. No, he was not. 2 armies, 250 points each.
Woo! On the board.
On the board for Josh. Bigfoot takes his lead and grabs it once more. 500 for Bigfoot, 250 for Josh, 250 for Hella Greg. 3 questions of 14 in. Hey. Plenty of time. Plenty of time, guys. Hey.
So much time.
Plenty of time. So yeah, 1948, he joins the U.S. Army. In 1946, he's going to stay until 1948, around his 21st birthday, at which point, he's not going to leave. He's still in. 1948, at 21 years old, he's stationed at Fort Richardson in Anchorage, Alaska. On July 31st, 1949, shit is about to start fucking popping off. That was really loud. I'm sorry, Greg's ears later. On July 31st, 1949, a man reports walking home from a few drinks with friends. He is also a soldier, if I'm not mistaken. He hears a woman in a park nearby cry out. Initially, he thinks that someone is in trouble. Keep in mind, this is midsummer in Alaska, so it's like 11 p.m. or midnight.
Oh.
But the sun is out. It's the land of the midnight sun. And at this point that this is happening, this guy's like walking by a park, and it looks like it's 6 p.m. out, and it's 1 in the morning or whatever. And so he goes over, and he kind of like peeks through these trees because he thought someone was in distress. And then he realizes as he gets close, like he might have just come across somebody who was in the middle of, and he's like,
Little toe curling.
yeah, he's like, maybe I don't know if I definitely should have walked in on this. So he like crosses over in the area and trying to kind of like get out of where he had just gotten into to check on this person. And he realized that the guy has seen him. So he gets like super embarrassed and he's like trying to, kind of explain himself. And the guy gets up super fucking pissed off and just told him, keep moving. And the woman like never looked over to the guy. She just stayed covered up. He felt super embarrassed and just moved on, mortified with what he had done. He talks about later feeling very uneasy about the exchange, and he couldn't get the man's face out of his head. The next morning, he's got to go to work. Responsible young man, tied a few on the night before, took a late night home, stumbled upon some people making whoopee in the park.
Bumping attractive.
Yes, hopefully. And the next morning, he's up early, and he's going to walk by the park on his way to work once more. So he decides, like, he's got a bad feeling. He stops by just to, like, double-check the area, see if he can discern if anything took place. So he crosses over into the grass area once more, and the woman is in the same spot that she was the night before. The man, however, was nowhere to be found. He called out and got no response, and as he approached, he felt very uneasy once more, especially as he realized that the woman had been severely beaten about her face. He called the police and is able to, in detail, describe Harvey Carignan. Carignan raped and killed 57-year-old Laura Showalter. Question number 4. What was the cause of death? Was it A, a gunshot, B, stabbing, C, strangulation, or D, blunt force? Gunshot, stab, strangulation, blunt force. Greg says blunt force, as does Josh, right? And
Yes,
Casey
sir.
said strangulation. The cause of death was due to several blows to the head from an unknown object. Blunt force trauma, 250 points to both Josh and Hella Greg.
That's messed up, yo. I was gonna stab at that.
And
but
say blunt force trauma.
Yeah, but I was like, nah, I'm not gonna stab. I'm not gonna play that game. I'm gonna play a little defensive here in the opening rounds. And when blunt force was on there, I was like, well, now I don't have a choice.
You got to.
I have to pick it.
I was hoping that he beat the body after he strangled it, and that's why the face was so.
That twitchy little bastard couldn't strangle anything.
I imagine he sounds like that.
Look me in the eye. Which one?
So the cause of death was due to several blows to the head from an unknown object. While the man was able to describe Harvey, it didn't lead to much until several months later when on September 16th, 1949, Dorcas Callan was attacked by... I thought that maybe I just was seeing a misspelling of Doris the first few times. No, it's Dorcas. Dorcas. D-O-R-C-A-S. Dorcas Callan was attacked by Harvey. And I had never heard that name before.
Suppose her husband was like, I'm home, dork.
Maybe. That's an adorable little pet name for someone named Dorcas. So Dorcas Callan was attacked by Harvey and was able to escape the attempted rape. She was dragged into a ditch as Harvey began groping her and forcing himself onto her. She was able to get out despite Harvey's incredible strength. She had to fight hard because that was one thing that nearly everyone that had something to say about Harvey was in agreement about, is that he was stronger than a fucking ox. Later when they're going to have Harvey in jail at some point, one of the detectives will talk about how when he came to see Harvey, Harvey would like grab onto the bars in the jail and just like lift himself up and pull himself down. Like he would be like the upper body strength was fucking ridiculous. And he would just like grab the bars and like raise his entire body up and hold it for 20 seconds and just drop himself back down. They were like, the interviewers asked the detective, like, why do you think he did that? He's like, he was showing me how strong he was. Like, it was legitimately like, that was the battle. It was like, if I ever get my hands on you, detective, I'm going to kill you.
Is that what he sounded like?
I have no idea. It was 1949. There wasn't a whole lot going on right here.
We can hope.
So, yeah, she fights her way out, even though he's fucking crazy strong. One ex-coworker of his would later say about him that when he got real mad, he would lift the front end of his pickup truck and slam it back down.
Jesus.
So what is he,
Yeah,
like,
but
is he
it's-
part folklore now? Is that what's happening?
19 what?
47?
Yeah, see, trucks back then were just made of balsa wood, and like you had to start them by pulling them back real far, and then you let them go
It can only go for so long, man.
before you got to get out and push again.
You just went to the hobby shop and bought the box and assembled it at home, and
Slap the Ford logo on there. So it's, I mean, it sounds impressive, but it's really, I mean, he lifted like 60 pounds.
I always swapped the D and the F and drove a Dorf. Okay, so yeah, he's slamming fucking trucks down like an asshole. Dorcas would tell police that she was approached by an intoxicated soldier around 7 a.m. Yeah, that's a real good time to be fucking smashed. Like, not like, I think he was drunk, like, oh, this dude fucking reeked of booze already. Fucking smelled of schnapps.
See, that's smart. Get drunk in the morning. That way you don't have to do it later. You have the rest of your day open to do stuff.
Yeah, perfect. Harvey was known as a soldier that you can often find quite intoxicated in the area, and as such is brought in to be part of the police lineup. So he's so known for being a drunk asshole around Anchorage that they're like, grab that guy right there. We'll throw him in the lineup too because he's always fucking floating around out there. Dorcas Callan and another eyewitness, John Keith, who was the man who saw Harvey in the park doing his first murder, both identified Harvey in a lineup. On September 17th, 1949, Carignan was brought to the U.S. Marshal Herring for the murder of Laura Showalter. The marshal asked him for some information, and Harvey said that he would give it to him, but he just wanted to see a priest first. They got to the priest. So this U.S. Marshal's like, all right, I'll get you a fucking priest if that's what is going to give me this confession. So the priest comes, and they talk it out for like several hours, he and the priest. And then Harvey says, like, okay, I'm ready. The conversation went good. Give me, 5 pencils and a couple pads of paper and somewhere quiet, and I'll write this out, and I'll give you everything you want. So Harvey finishes, and he says, apparently wrote for 8 hours. Once he completed the confession, he told the marshal that he wanted to speak with the priest one more time before handing over the confession. His wish was granted, and his priest would one more time spend about another hour with him before meeting back with the marshal.
Is this all at once? Like, is this all on the same day?
Yeah. Like, he brought the priest in. He spent 3 hours with him in the morning, and then he's like, yo. And it might have been I wrote for 8 hours, and I saw the priest the next morning.
Right, but I was going to say, so he's at the tail end of like an 11 or 12-hour day.
Right.
Putting all this time and effort into this.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So he finally, after speaking with the priest, hands over his official statement or confession, and Carignan provided a detailed description of that day in July 1949. However, there was never a mention of the murder. He just talked about his whole day, top to bottom, from the time he woke up to the time he fell asleep, and everything he did between, but never mentioned the murder. So he's just in there with the for the murder. He's been identified by 2 different people, and there's like, I didn't do it. Way before Bart Simpson, too. So
I didn't do it.
So the marshal is getting obviously fucking fed up with him. Carignan provided a description of the day. Yep. So he requested the priest twice, spent 8 to 10 hours writing a multi-page confession in which he never once mentioned a murder. Should be noted that Harvey was sweating profusely every time that he met with the marshal, as well as his twitch returning in full force every time the marshal began to speak. Carignan would eventually orally confess to the murder. In 1950, Carignan was charged and convicted of first-degree murder. He was very afraid of the death penalty, especially hanging. And he told this to the marshal, like, all right, we are at where we're at, but tell me how I avoid just going to the gallows. And the marshal's like with him. He's like, dude, we haven't done the fucking hanging in 25 years. I don't think that's on the table, buddy. Like,
France is still beheading people at this time.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty much just telling him, like, look, you might die, but it's not going to be at the gallows. Once that became something that he didn't have to worry about, Carignan decided to be more open and helpful with the investigation, as well as give that oral confession we talked about. The trial was swift with its completion. He was sentenced to death by hanging.
Damn, sold him out.
Yep, Carignan was devastated, and a lot of people were very surprised that they would go with this method of execution. But no matter, he was not very happy with the outcome. Carignan's lawyers, however, filed an appeal of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court ruled that Carignan's confession was unlawfully elicited by an overzealous police officer who assured Carignan that he would not be executed if he confessed. So this is kind of, I think, what you were poking at a little bit here, is that he's like 11 hours in the hole and him just being questioned and write this down, and nope, that's not what we said to write. Write it down, write it down.
Yeah.
Like, it's the detectives or the marshal's story that, we put him in a room and he wrote for 8 hours.
Forcing him to sign under duress.
Yeah, that's
like...
Under duress?
Yeah.
So okay, that's all.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna let it. I'm gonna let it land on that.
So the Supreme Court ruled that Carignan's confession was unlawfully elicited by overzealous police who assured Carignan that he would not be executed if he confessed. So he's like, fuck yeah, I don't want to get executed. I did it. 1951, the Supreme Court overruled Carignan's death sentence due to the officer's violations of the McNabb rule. The McNabb-Mallory rule refers to the U.S. rule of evidence that a confession is inadmissible if it obtained during an unreasonably long period of detention between arrest and initial court appearance. There you go. Thank you, Hella Greg. In 1952, Carignan was transferred to Alcatraz, the fucking Rock, dude. Do you think he saw Nick Cage and Sean Connery at some point?
No, he was hanging out with Dwayne Johnson.
Okay, cool. Question number 5. Since the murder confession was overturned, how long would he spend in prison? This is total, because he's going to get out. How many days, months, years, hours? He went to the Rock. They sent him to the Rock. I don't think they sent dudes to the Rock for an hour, but, if you feel like that's what happened. Or am I just trying to lead you away from writing 1 hour? All right, Bigfoot says 1.5 weeks. Josh said 5 years, 4 months?
2 months.
2 months. Greg said 10 years. And is going to get 250 points because after 8 years, on April 2nd, 1960, Carignan was paroled from the Rock.
Yeah, he was still in jail or in prison for murder.
Yeah.
They just said, yeah, you're not going to die for it.
Because of this and that.
Right, because of a
baseball
technicality.
bat. So Greg's going to take his first lead of the game, 750 points, 2 500s around him. You guys got to rally and beat this guy. All right.
I just feel like maybe he actually did see the outline and he brought it up earlier to.
I'm just reading the reflection in the gloss of Jesse's eyes.
So if you guys look at Greg's attire, you'll know that Greg has brought a story tonight and he's come in proper attire for said story. So that's just a little preview. Soon we're going to take a break, turn the AC on for a little bit, and do some other completely unrelated to the date
stuff that
activities.
we can't talk about because Kilometers Tiny is too young to hear about it.
So 8 years. April 2nd, 1960, Carignan paroled. He would go and live with family in Minnesota, and he would try to lay low for a while, right? Like, he just got out of the fucking Rock. Like, it's time to straighten out my ways.
Feels going from like the gorgeous landscape of Alaska to the gorgeous golden coast of Pacific California, and then
going to bumfuck Minnesota,
going back to the bleak, desolate wasteland that is white blizzard Minnesota.
Come on, people in Minnesota, we love you. Hey, if you'll actually take a look here, Greg, don't look at these answers.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
I spelled out
Minnesota
in here, so I know how to.
Yeah, that's what that says.
It's a MEENASOTA, Minnesota. So he's going to go live with family in Minnesota, try to lay low for a while. He felt as if his childhood was taken away for no good reason. He understood that what his mom had to do, but he also felt like his family could have tried harder. He felt like he was fucking owed something. Question number 6. How long will he be in Minnesota before he is back in trouble with the law? Is that the same answer? Sorry. Oh, okay. Bigfoot says 72 hours. Josh said 32 days. Greg said 2 months. Harvey Carignan was back in trouble while he was in Minnesota after 2 months. Greg, 1,000 points. Wow. Okay. Maybe he did get the outline. I need to double check this.
I don't know. I forgot.
2 months later, he's into some shit. Greg's up 1,750 to 500. Still plenty of time, but like maybe score a lot of points from here on out. It's the Dookie chain.
That's what does it.
It's the Dookie chain.
I'm like Samson.
I want to talk to Samson. Fly me to the moon.
right near the beach. Boy.
Doctor says I need a backiotomy. So yes, 2 months later, he's arrested in Minnesota for burglary, assault, and attempted rape. He got a hitchhiking woman into his vehicle and forced her to perform oral sex on him while he beat her up a little. She was able to escape with her life and a good description. He was convicted and sentenced to 2.5 years in a Minnesota state prison and another 2,086 days, or almost 6 years, in a federal prison in Leavenworth, Kansas. So, he had a good time out and free.
Leavenworth's no joke.
Yeah? What do you know about Leavenworth?
Not much.
March 2nd, 1964, Carignan is released on parole and moves to Seattle after only 4 of his nearly 9-year sentence. So he does about 4 years this time for these charges. On November 22nd, 1964, he's arrested for second-degree burglary and sentenced to 15 years in the Washington State Prison in Walla Walla. During his stay, he obtained his high school diploma and took some college courses.
Good for him.
So this fucking killer sounds like he had better access to education than most of us will obtain in our lives. But, good.
He had a good support system.
Yeah. Question number 7 of the 15-year sentence. How long is he going to serve? 15 years. I mean, this is third strike, right? And one of them was a murder.
Third strike thing didn't come out until
I know, but what I'm
80s.
saying, it's his
I understand.
third crime, third very serious
felony
crime.
offense.
Yeah. It's like his third sexual assault.
You said out of 15 years, how much did he serve?
Yep. Greg says 12 years. Josh says 4 years. Bigfoot says 5 years. Somebody's getting 1,000 points.
It's me.
Who said that? Greg thinks he's going to take a back-to-back 1,000-point questions here. Mm-hmm. Well, congratulations, Greg. You're wrong. Josh, you got 1,000 points because, he spent 4 years of that 15-year sentence.
For sure I was going to walk off.
It's be real sad. I'm just gonna go now. I'll stick the
man, now I'm not gonna win it. Oh wait. So Josh is right back in it. 1,750 for Greg, 1,500 for Josh, 500 for Bigfoot. Plenty of time. Plenty of time. What do I always say, brother?
Feel the eruption.
Feel the eruption. Oh my God, I love it.
I do too. You just got to put the right emphasis on it.
Yep. Feel the eruption, brother. So he's paroled after 4 years. Yes, Josh, congratulations. He married. That was not purposeful.
Whatever, Minnesota accent.
He married in a cow pie. He married Sheila Morgan and moved in with her and her teenage daughter,
who coincidentally kept rubbing her body all over him.
Carignan was very attracted to teenagers since he believed that his younger years were stolen from him due to all the time that he spent in reform schools and prison. So, I mean, essentially from the age of 11 to the age of 32 or whatever he's at now, he's spent his 40s. He's like, those were stolen from me. I still want a teenager. You know what I'm saying?
Look at me, I'm Peter Pan. I'm a little boy forever.
That's ignorant.
Now we have Greg's to use at the beginning this time. Bang,
Being ignorant now.
So yeah, he's very attracted to teenagers by his own admission. He believed that his youth was stolen from him, and he just wanted some of that back in way of a teenager. So he's just a fucking creep. And this is the Serial Killers podcast. We pretty much are only able to throw creeps on here. Sheila wasn't really aware of Harvey's background in prison. She got the idea by the ragtag, this is her words, the ragtag bunch of people that he kept company with and had over at all hours of the day and night. Sheila also complained about the fact that Harvey always had her car because he didn't have one. He would often leave her stranded from getting to go to work because she would wake up and notice that the car had been gone all night long with her husband. She claims to have never known where he went, but he would always give the excuse that he just needed to get out and drive around. So she said, sometimes she'd wake up at 10 p.m. and the car would be gone. She'd be like, all right, well, he's going to be back before I have to fucking go to work. And then we'll wake up at 3 and it would still be gone. And wake up at 6 and it's still gone. So
he's just off doing his volunteer work for the church.
Yep, exactly. It's a perfect time to do it under the cover of darkness. 1969, Carignan was arrested for parole violation and suspicion of robbery. He served 1 year in Walla Walla. In 1970, he's now 43 years old. And Sheila waited for him during that 1 year in Walla Walla, almost immediately divorced him due to a physical abuse upon his release. So she waited for him.
Will you wait for me? Of course. He gets out. I waited for you. He's all right cross.
That sounds like that's pretty close to how it might have actually gone down. So Carignan would, let's see here.
He was on his way out, and one of the guards looked at him and goes, "Hey, sweep the leg."
So he goes about 2 years, seems to keep his nose clean. On April 14th, 1972, Carignan married Alice Johnson and moved in with her and her 2 children, Billy, who was 11, and Georgia, who was 14.
Happy belated anniversary.
Yeah. As expected, Harvey took quite the liking to Georgia. Harvey wasted no time taking over as the father figure and dishing out beatings to both of his new children whenever they did not listen.
You're going to need a spanking.
He would also lay hands on Alice quite a bit. In June of 19...
He was laying on hands? Just...
I think it was more to the moon.
The stranger?
Yeah.
The stranger. June 1972, after 3 months after the wedding, Billy moves out to live with his real father due to the beatings he's receiving from Harvey Carignan. So the kid's like, fuck this. I'm going to go live with my fuck-ass dad instead of getting beat the shit out of by this guy.
At least the guy that's going to whoop my ass there's genetically tied.
Yeah. And I know his moves, so at least I can counter some of them.
Got practice with him.
I just can't imagine my son, no matter how detached or distant I was from coming and be like, my stepdad's beating my ass, and me being like, man, what are you gonna do about it? Not wanting to be like, I'm gonna go whip that motherfucker's. What the fuck?
Keep your guard up, fuckhead.
Alice is a firm believer that a woman stands by her man. She was not interested in protecting her son from Harvey, nor would she acknowledge that any of her children's stories about their stepfather or wrongdoings were true. So she was like, nah, it's my husband. He's a fucking saint. And that's
he's
pretty
not
much...
the best, but he's great. He's a good provider.
He tries.
Yeah. So...
He takes my car sometimes.
Yeah. So apparently he's doing well now. So he's got some of his own vehicles. He likes to drive. He's always out doing his fucking business. Alice and Georgia were very afraid to ride in a car with him because he would exceed speeds of 90 miles per hour pretty much everywhere he would go. Harvey, again, would often be out on the road as much as possible, but now he had his own cars. As Alice often flat out refused to ride with him, Harvey would always try to get Georgia to go with him. And on times where she couldn't come up with a good enough reason to not go, Harvey would take her out on these fucking extra creepy rides.
She's like, damn it, I don't have a good excuse.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's her stepdad, so it's not like she can pull one over. So Harvey drives like an asshole. It's going to be the last question before the break here, since we're going to get to cool off here. Question number 8. Over a little over a 3-year period from August of 1969 to October of 1972, Harvey's going to get some speeding tickets. How many?
Can I stab before?
No, it's all stab.
Okay.
Closest to the answer is 250 points. So
Over 3 years?
3 years, 38 months. 38 months. Bigfoot says 22. Josh says 21. Greg said 11. Greg's going to get 250 points because although it seems like he's an asshole, I think most of the time they just couldn't catch him or couldn't care because he only got 7 tickets.
Dang.
I mean, I say only 7. That's like lose your license amount of tickets.
Now, yeah. But I mean, I'm thinking back in the day, if he had a ticket a month, that's 38 tickets. I mean, they're definitely taking
Is he paying them off? All right. Good deal.
Well, there's that, but...
Yeah. So we're going to take a little break here. We're going to come back. Greg's got a little story that even came dressed up for him. So I'm pretty impressed by that. Don't act like you didn't. I
know.
I'm proud of it. We're into this.
Had to
you know
get
what I'm
into
saying?
character.
That's exactly right. So,
Such a method actor.
yeah, fucking Daniel Day Greg over here.
Yeah.
Daniel Day Hella.
I spent some time in some rough areas to get this story.
So we'll come back with that, and then we'll finish off with Harvey Carignan. I also have a little finisher story at the end too. It's nothing very long. So
Finish him.
yes. Oh shit! I don't know the buttons, and they just fall over before you hit a fatality.
Or you hit him with like a low kick.
Speaking of fatality, come back or we'll kill you.
You're always on my mind, yeah, you're always on my mind. Running through my head like a race against time. Thinking about you, I just wanna waste your time. Matter of fact, this might be mine by halftime. You're wasting all your time, yeah, you're wasting all your time. Fucking with these dudes that don't even treat you right. Run to another one, it's a late night. At least the money's in the bank, we alright. Sometimes I feel a little distant. Fuck being sober, I can't even deal with this shit. Running through my mind like a hamster on a wheel. Trying to get close to you to tell you how I feel. Sometimes I feel a little worthless. Living every day like I don't have a purpose. Smile every time you say to me, we're not just friends, we're family.
Running through my head like a waste of time. Waste my time to shoot this shit like we're a part of Columbine. You're a diamond at your waist, you're still a diamond. Sweeter than my key lime pie. After you, I think I wanna die. Cause no one else can make me sky like you do. No one lights up my sky just like you do. To be honest, I have eyes for you and only you. Probably cause you're so fly. Wanna give you a ring with my whole heart on it, so you can see how my heart beats for you. Every single part of it don't cause a fit. Feelings for you, unless they counterfeit. My soul sunlit when I'm around with you on my spirit slips.
You're always on my mind, yeah, you're always on my mind. Running through my head like a race against time. Thinking about you, I just wanna waste your time. Matter of fact, this might give me mine by halftime. You're wasting all your time, yeah, you're wasting all your time. Fucking with these dudes that don't even treat you right. Run to another one, it's a late night. At least the money's in the bank, we all
I like a girl, but she don't like me back. Treat her like a fag, cause I don't know how to act. If she wanna chat, I just smile at, even though I want her back. Question if I'm this, question if I'm that. And it's kinda hard, cause it's the facts. Thoughts of empty road, full of empty souls. Lots of turns with no to go. Hoping that ain't nowhere close. I know bodies few in numbers, but how few I may never know. Until it's over, I'm going 90 on the 30. Someone wanna hurt me, I don't worry, living life, staying in steady, living high, hit the gurney, making the most out this journey. Maybe someday get up early, coast to coast, stay off early.
Yeah.
You guys have no idea how long that break was. Welcome back, everybody. We're not going to jump right back into Harvey Carignan because our good friend Hella Greg, who's here competing today in the lead and brought a story. It's not for any points, though, so no bonus for this, man. It's good to have you here, Greg.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see your wild hand movements in person, I guess is what I'm saying.
They're always off screen, so you can't see them.
Yeah. So tell us, what do you got?
I don't know. It started a couple weeks ago. I was gonna do an outline for one of the episodes, and it was gonna be about the hip hop Illuminati, and I was like, yeah, and I was like, I can't wait to dig into this, and it really became me watching a bunch of interviews about what people really thought happened to Eazy-E, and like how it couldn't have been AIDS, and that he didn't have any symptoms, and it was so quick, and it didn't, and like Magic Johnson's had it since 1991, and now he's donating blood.
It's because he sleeps on cash. The Simpsons told me about that.
Well, so Eazy-E, Eric Wright, was he's from Compton. He dropped out of school in like the 10th grade. He sold drugs. He was left a stash of drugs and just sold that to get his stacks up, and then turned that money. He wanted to invest it. He didn't like selling drugs, so he invested in a record company, Ruthless Records. It teamed up with Jerry Heller, who's like, depending on what side you're on, he's either a great dude who's like got a lot of clout and does a lot of dope shit, or he's a fucking monster, an absolute tyrant. So it depends on who you ask. He collaborated with Dr. Dre and Ice Cube, who Ice Cube was in a hip hop group called CIA before he was in NWA. Ice Cube, O'Shea Jackson had a thing for acronyms.
Yes, he did.
Dr. Dre was in World Class Wrecking Crew, which was like an electro hip hop like dance.
That's where he's like wearing the sparkly outfits
with the stethoscope to drive the
doctor
point home.
Yeah,
Dr. Dre
with the Jerry curl.
Well, and he was different from the Dr. Dre that was on Yo MTV Raps at the time. Mm-hmm. He wasn't that Dr. Dre. I remember being very confused by that when I was a kid.
That's not the same person.
That guy looks so different. The camera adds so many pounds. So he collaborated with these guys. Basically, Dr. Dre was the hit maker. He had the vision. He was progressive with the music and stuff like that. Eazy was the street cred. Ice Cube was the talent. You know what I mean? Like, that's easy because Eazy sold drugs. These guys didn't. These guys weren't gangster.
Eazy was the real gangster. They were all playing gangster, but had a real gangster to.
Eazy was gangster turned rapper. These guys were rappers playing gangster, and I mean I love Eazy. I've always loved Eazy-E since I was a kid, and like all the albums I could find and stuff like that, I loved them. And even though it all went way over my head as like a middle-class suburban white kid, like I related to absolutely nothing he said, but I fucking loved it. But Straight Outta Compton went platinum in like 1988. These guys were huge. They were the pioneers of a genre. And you know, they had the song Fuck the Police, which got them a lot of attention they probably didn't necessarily want. They actually got a warning letter from the FBI about Fuck the Police and the negative attention that it drew. But they were speaking out about their time and place. This is, you know, late 80s, early 90s in LA. Rodney King had just happened. These guys are watching all this shit unfold in their neighborhood, and they're speaking on Eazy-E was watching all this stuff unfold in his neighborhood, and they're all speaking on his various experience and the experience of the people that they were associating with. So that's kind of an outline of the build up to what really happened to Eazy-E. A lot of the sources that I got for this were DJ Vlad. He has a video series on YouTube, and he does a lot of interviews with a lot of like old school hip hop dudes. It was really cool. He had interviews with BG Knockout, Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, Suge Knight, Bone Thugs, Jerry Heller, Too Short. So I pulled a lot of information from these, but a lot of this is sort of out of order. But BG Knockout said in one of his interviews when Eazy-E was supposed to meet with Dr. Dre. I mean, have you guys seen Straight Outta Compton?
I haven't.
No, I haven't either. But it's apparently
you don't want your ideas and what you think in your mind tainted.
Well, it's again, it's all different depending on who you ask. Because in the movie, Eazy-E goes into this meeting supposed to sign a contract with Dr. Dre to get him out of Ruthless Records. Because Eazy-E had Ruthless Records with Jerry Heller. That's where NWA was signed. That Dr. Dre was signed there. He wanted out. He wasn't getting paid, basically. Eazy was keeping all the money, and Dr. Dre was feeling pretty shafted by the whole thing. He split, and Suge Knight came into play for all this. Suge Knight was up and coming, starting Death Row Records, looking for talent, and he offered Dr. Dre money. He offered him a lot of money and was going to do it by any means necessary. And so Dre set up a meeting with Eazy-E. Hey, meet me. I'm going to sign the paperwork. Eazy showed up to the meeting, and in Straight Outta Compton, they were there. They beat the hell out of Eazy-E and forced him to sign the paperwork. In Eazy-E's version, he walked in, they threatened him, he signed a fake name, and then sued him later for forcing him to sign under duress. In Suge Knight's version, Suge was waiting there, asked him to sign, and he signed. You know what I mean? They threatened him a little, but he signed, and nothing really happened. So,
You mean there's different stories going on here between
you're
three
gonna tell me
individuals?
both sides, all the sides that were involved and were not involved, have a different take on this.
I don't buy it.
But according to BG Knockout, he said when E was supposed to meet with Dr. Dre to sign the paperwork to release him from Ruthless, he showed the hotel room, and Dre wasn't there. Suge Knight and some goons were there. They held guns to E and forced him to sign his paperwork. E signed a fake name. Then he sued Suge and claimed he signed under duress. As a result, E made 20% of Death Row's net intake for the next 6 years. So because he signed under duress and he signed away Dr. Dre, he retained points on everything that Dr. Dre produced.
20% of Death Row.
For the next 6 years.
Yeah,
and this is when they signed Snoop Dogg. This is when The Chronic came out. Doggy Style. Who else was on Death Row at that time? I think Tupac in the later years. But Eazy-E got 20% of all that stuff that was being put out, and he even references it in one of his songs because Dr. Dre put out a pretty solid diss track called Dre Day, and he took some pretty gnarly shots at Eazy-E. And Eazy said, Dresta said in the song, "Damn, E, they tried to fade you on Dre Day," and Eazy said, "But Dre Day only made Eazy's payday." Because he knows he's getting paid for everything that they put out, whether he does anything or not.
Sweet diss track. I'll take 20% of that.
Yeah, go ahead. Say what you want, because you're literally making me money with it. Make it dope. I know you're the dopest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
20%, thank you.
Sell a bunch.
Yeah.
He also came back with Real Motherfucking G's, which was, in my opinion, better than Dre Day, if you're going to be real about it.
I don't know that I'm familiar with either.
One of my more favorite disses in the track is all of a sudden Dr. Dre is a G thing, but on his old album covers he was a she thing. And then if the video flashes from Eazy-E rapping in the streets to the promo picture of World Class Wrecking Crew of Dr. Dre like this in his sequence outfit and with the lipstick and the eyeliner and everything. So Eazy-E gets 20% of The Chronic. He got 20% of Doggy Style. And there was a lot of beef, so obviously he's making a lot of enemies. Even in Real Motherfucking G's, he comes out and says, "Motherfuck Dre, motherfuck Snoop, motherfuck Death Row." I mean, he's naming names. He's coming straight for them. He's not like beating around the bush like the bullshit that they do today. And anyway,
They still make the rap music today?
well,
The rap.
something. So according to Jerry Heller, Eazy said, "You know this guy Suge Knight? He's going to be a problem. I think I'm going to kill him." And Jerry Heller's response to that was, "Well, we've got a lot of problems. And right now we're making $10 million a month. And we have 6 employees. We don't even have a typewriter. Let's not create more problems.
Yeah.
Let's not kill this guy." And in retrospect, maybe Eazy-E should have.
Oh, hot take.
Well, I mean, Suge has been...
Would later take a life, right?
Yeah, he did kill a guy, but he has been, I don't know, a burden on the hip-hop world, I feel like. He didn't do anything to help anybody.
Better watch your back, bro.
Fuck Suge Knight. I think I've said that before, too.
Yeah,
I don't
he's
think
in
we had
prison now.
I don't think we have for murder. Only one though. But this is a serial killer show. Step your game up and then come talk to me.
I'll tell you a Suge Knight story that me and Robbie and J Def had in Vegas after the podcast. Just remind me.
So yeah, Dr. Dre was all pissed off because he wasn't getting paid. And so that's why he left. The whole racketeering charge that Eazy-E sued Suge Knight for. He said it was for extortion, blackmail, money laundering. Said all that stuff was going on at Death Row Records. And though they didn't find Suge guilty of any of that stuff, they still found enough evidence to award Eazy-E 20% of Death Row. So, clearly something was going on. And some of my favorite stories of Suge are him holding Vanilla Ice out the balcony window for shaking him down for the rights to Ice Ice Baby.
He's like, it's not even mine. Have you heard that Queen song?
Well, yeah. But so there's a video. So that my point to the whole confrontation with Suge is he made enemies. Eazy-E made enemies. He was at like the Source Awards with BG Knockout and Dresta and a whole bunch of Crips, and he was seated between a whole bunch of Bloods and Suge, who hung out with a whole bunch of Bloods, and like they were like 5 rows between them. They were 5 rows behind Suge, and 5 rows behind them was a bunch of Bloods, and they were like, mm-hmm. And so they went up there and immediately got right into it, and Suge was like, let's see what happens outside. And so one of the homies left and came back with a bunch of guns and was like, okay, here we go.
This is what's going to happen outside.
And Suge came outside and they were all standing there and they were like, what's up, dude? And he was like, nothing, fuck y'all. I'm not even worried about you. And then and then split. So I mean, it was a real thing.
Uh-huh.
Like, they weren't fucking around. Some of these guys played gangster. Eazy might not have had a gun. Eazy might not have been standing there with a gun. But a bunch of real Crips showed up with guns. And they don't fuck around.
Apparently.
Yeah. So there was a YouTube video by The Truth Show where BG Knockout said that Eazy-E met with some dudes who showed up in the studio, quote, looking like they were from the Nation of Islam. They told E to go with them, and he did. He went into a conference room and was in there for, quote, 2 or 3 hours, and when he came out, he had a different look. About a week later, Eazy began firing Jerry Heller and his family. So he teed off and he fired Jerry Heller and his brother Gary Heller, really. And then, Gary Ballin was their cousin, and it was Jerry and Terry Heller that he fired.
Really?
And, yeah, really. And so he's kicking all these people out and restaffing, and that was about the time that he signed Bone Thugs and Harmony, and brought them
Good sign.
Brought them onto Ruthless Records. But he was making all these wild moves. So Jerry Heller, who was not new to the music business, who has means to do something to Eazy-E, somebody who and now has motive because he's been cut out of something where he was making $10 million a month. I mean, that's life-changing money. That's like especially when you're talking to somebody who comes from such a poor area, who comes from literally nothing, and you're given a few $1,000s to start your dream, and then you take that dream and you get to travel the world with it, or at least the nation. Because I don't think they were doing world tours with that back then. But you get to at least travel the nation and do all this stuff, make all this money.
Sorry, I didn't think it would be that loud.
You get to travel the nation, do all this stuff, and make all this money, and now you're worth millions of dollars. Like when Eazy-E died, he was worth $50 million. Like that's a large chunk of change. And especially in 1995 or 1994.
Yeah.
So, and he had invested. He'd turned some of it around, and that's just what was in the bank.
Right.
So, the whole Nation of Islam thing. This
the Truth Show. It was it was a very well produced YouTube video of this lady reading a bunch of articles, and it all connected Ice Cube to the Nation of Islam, and then it connected him to Biggie and Tupac's murder because he allegedly met with Biggie shortly before he was killed. Not like hours or anything like that, but in the weeks before he was killed. Same thing with Tupac, and apparently the same thing with Eazy-E. He met with Ice Cube trying to reconcile, and then these Nation of Islam dudes showed up, and then Eazy-E gets stricken with a bout of bronchitis that takes him to the hospital. He gets AIDS and then dies very shortly after. So that's just one of the takes on it. I don't know how much I really believe in that, but it's a thing.
Yeah.
That sounds real Islamophobic of you, Greg.
I didn't say it was mine. That was the Truth Show on YouTube, so you know where to find them.
True Show on YouTube. That's real Islamophobic.
Yeah. So Bone Thugs got signed shortly after the firing of Jerry Heller. They said that Easy was not really pleased with Heller, and they were witness. And they said a few months after that, boom, he got sick, and out of the blue. When they asked about his son, Lil Easy, thinking that his dad didn't die from AIDS, all the three of them that were on camera were like, yeah, well, that makes sense. And then one of the guys said, any of his kids, mistresses, baby mama, anybody. Nobody came up with HIV or anything. Apparently, Easy loved to fuck. And I mean, when I say love to fuck, like, Michelle showed up to one of her video shoots at Eazy-E's house, and he was like, hold on, let me clear the house out. And she said she sat there in the driveway waiting, and she counted 11 women walking out of the house. I mean, when they went on tour, Eazy-E and Too Short went on tour at the same together. And he said one of the lines from one of the songs was on the album version, there's a bunch of women and they go, we want to fuck you, Easy, and he goes, I want to fuck you too. And when he would do that on live, the music would cut and all the women would scream it, and then he'd say, I want to fuck you too. And then he'd say, like, between songs, he'd just be like, yeah, man, we were at the Hilton across the street and it was wild. And so he goes, then everybody knows that the Hilton across the street's where Eazy-E is, and everybody's getting in there to fuck. And he also did an interview in 1992 with Howard Stern where they said, so you use condoms, right? And he was like, no. Are you fucking kidding me? No. And they were like, you've heard of AIDS, right? And he's like, yeah, but the people I fuck with don't have it. And they were like, you fuck so many people. And he was like, yeah, but they're all clean.
The roundabout AIDS test.
Yeah. Do you know anybody with AIDS? No. Well, you know me. So perfect. But again, nobody that, like, he was married when he died. He got married, I think, in the hospital to Tamika. And she was pregnant with his kid. He's got like 10 kids, and like more keep showing up. He had like one documentary, they were like, Eazy-E and his 6 kids. And I watched one and they were like, Eazy-E and his 7 kids. And I watched another one and they were like, Eazy-E with 8 kids. And then the most recent one, they were like, yeah, Eazy's got like 10 kids. And I'm like, well, fuck, I'm missing one.
Where's the gap?
Yeah. But like one guy, he's got 2 kids named Eric, right?
Perfect.
It's the George Foreman method. Name them all the same thing. That way you don't have to remember anybody's name.
You wear purple. You wear blue.
Blue George, come here. So yeah, he had a lot of enemies, especially in the hip hop world, especially in the financial world. And then he had, gangbangers who obviously didn't like him. One of my favorites, though, was through a clerical error. He got sent an invitation to attend a White House function with George H.W. Bush. It was like it was not like the press dinner or whatever, but it was like a thing, and they had a bunch of influencers there, and you had to pay the donation fee, and you got to go. And so Eazy-E paid the $1,500 and got to go to this luncheon with George H.W. Bush. And he went and he did the whole thing and he smiled and he took pictures and donated to the charity and all this stuff. And George Bush was just kind of pissed off about the whole thing, which it makes me laugh thinking about it because that's just a genius marketing move. And even Eazy-E in one of the interviews, he was like, yeah, so I paid $1,500 for $1 million worth of press. And that's the kind of businessman that he was. He was a smart dude. But he also may have pissed off the wrong people because George, according Too Short, says that George Bush Sr. was the head of the CIA, which he's correct. And he has deep ties in the CIA. Prescott Bush was in the CIA. And they're all part of a secret society, and that's a whole nother thing. That's a real thing that exists, but I'm not talking about that. But you could stand to say that, you know, cancer pants are a real thing, and the way the CIA had experimented with the black community in that time, it would stand to reason that they would try a super virus or something like that. And I cannot remember. I could not find the interview after I watched it. And it wasn't one of the DJ Vlad interviews, but I cannot remember this guy's name. He was the first Latino guy signed to Ruthless Records. And I can't remember his name, but he did an interview where he said that Eazy got his disease from tainted acupuncture needles. And that's totally just my own brain putting stuff together through listening to a week's worth of Eazy-E conspiracy theories. That would make the most sense. If the CIA wanted him dead, in an acupuncture place would be the best way to do it. Taint the needles, make sure each one of them has some sort of AIDS virus on it, some sort of mutation of the AIDS virus, and just stick him with 60 or 80 acupuncture needles. That's why it was so aggressive. That's why he died so fast. That's why it was complications from AIDS, and that's why nobody else had it. Because he didn't get it, he was given it. But that's just my thing. Yeah, and I mean, I don't have a whole lot more, but I mean, everybody's pretty like torn about how he got it. No, because again, none of his children have it. None of his mistresses had it. Nobody that he was fucking came up later and was like, "Yo, I've got it." And with the alleged amount of women that he ran through, somebody somewhere would have it statistically.
Yeah, but would you want to be the person that gave Eazy-E AIDS?
Would you want to be, but maybe be Cash Out being the person who got AIDS from Eazy-E, go to his estate and get your slice of the $50 million that he had when he died.
Yeah.
Because that's effectively, I mean, at that point, it's a death sentence. I mean, look at what happened to Eazy-E. You contracted that super aggressive form. You don't think you're worth something?
All right.
Somebody would have spoke up somewhere.
Fair enough.
And nobody did. And so he pissed off powerful people. A lot of powerful people, Nation of Islam, Ice Cube, Dr. Dre, Suge Knight, Jerry Heller. There's a whole other thing where he hired Mossad to protect him. And yeah, so it's
deep.
Yeah, so there's a whole thing to that. But yeah, Eazy-E was killed. Eazy-E didn't die.
I see. Final? Okay. Yeah, that's heavy, man. I was trying to just like stay with it, truly,
like I said, it was pretty unstructured.
Yeah, but there's so many moving parts to it, and like there's so much more to it. I know, like you could do 2 episodes on just this alone, but yeah, man, it's fucking wild.
Yeah,
who knows, man? Conspiracy. You guys want to talk about a serial killer some more? I know it's kind of getting late, you guys. I'm sorry. Thanks for hanging with us. I filled you guys full of food and then was like, hey, you guys want to fucking sit at a table for several hours? Okay. So, Harvey Carignan, you guys.
Let's do this.
So, if you remember, he's just over a 37-month period received, what was it? 7 speeding tickets? 7. So on July 27th, 1972, he's now 46 years old. It is speculated that Carignan kidnapped Virginia Piper, although he would never be charged with this, and it would never be proven that it was him. It was supposed to be 2 other men who were arrested in 1977. She, Virginia Piper, was the wife of a CEO of an investment firm in Minneapolis, and was kidnapped in broad daylight while out gardening on her giant estate. A ransom note turned up, and her husband paid the $1 million and received a call shortly after the ransom, and Virginia was located alive. These events would be mentioned in both the book and the movie version of All the President's Men. So, that's a fun little thing. On October 15th, 1972, 19-year-old Leslie Laura Brock of Bellingham, Washington, was found dead. That's not that fun of a little thing. Her cause of death was due to several blows to the head, and a witness claimed that they saw her go into a Carignan silver truck much later on. They would come out with that information, not that she got into the truck after she was dead. They only described the truck and did not know that it was Harvey's truck. At this point, Harvey is running a moderately successful business. Question number 9. What type of business did Harvey run? Was it A, a gas station, B, lawn care, C, was he a plumber, or D, a travel agent? Gas station, lawn care, plumber, travel agency. He's running his own business, guys. America, you know what I'm saying? All right, both Greg and Bigfoot say lawn care. Josh says he owned a gas station.
That was going to be my next choice. I really wanted to go with gas station. Honestly, if I was going to stab, I was going to say something in the lumber industry.
Josh gets 250 points because he did indeed own a gas station.
Gotta go with your gut.
You do. That's really how it goes. Because, like at the end, when it's all over, if you won, you won. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing, but you win.
Right.
Yeah. May 1st, 1973, Kathy Sue Miller is 15 years old. She answered a want ad placed by Carignan for his gas station. He would always have a want ad for new employees out. So apparently it was like they were turning over pretty quick, it seems. Maybe he
just wanted to be overstaffed and like totally prepared.
Yeah, maybe that's what happened as well. Kathy Sue Miller was very excited about the job and called him. She said that he practically interviewed him over the phone, made it feel like the position was going to be hers. Harvey told her that she should meet him at a certain corner at 2:30 the following day. Kathy's mother advised her not to go to this interview as she remembered hearing about another young woman who was found dead under mysterious circumstances nearby. That girl was Laura Brock. Kathy was excited about the job, though, and she really wanted to get to making some money on her own. She had a family friend, Mark, who was with her just before she did decide to allow Harvey to pick her up on the corner. That was the last time anyone would see her alive. 2 very dedicated detectives were on the case and almost immediately narrowed it down to Harvey, who, when approached, said that he didn't know anything about it and he had been working all that day. But his face started doing a little weird twitch thing. He said that
That's a hell of a tell, man.
Yeah, he said that he had an ex-employee there that could verify his story. They reached out to that ex-employee after some searching because Harvey didn't keep any files on his employees. Like, this is how fast the turnover was. He wasn't taking, like, applications and social security numbers and, like, I'll pay your money for the 3 weeks you're going to inevitably work here. And that's all. So once they tracked
rub my body on you.
So once they tracked down the woman, she claimed that Harvey had been gone for over 6 hours that day, picking up auto parts. But when he finally arrived back to the store 6 hours later, he unloaded no parts. He is missing from approximately 2:15 to just after 8 p.m. that day. When questioned more closely by the police, Harvey began to sweat profusely, and his twitch returned once more. They felt like it was their guy, and they had zero physical evidence to prove any of it. Harvey's face was then put in the newspaper as a suspect, and he refused to take a polygraph test that would supposedly clear his name. His family even began to turn on him. So,
polygraph thing's not that big of a deal, though. Those are fucking inadmissible anyway.
Then they weren't.
Yeah,
though.
I think back then they were.
Well, right, but now we know what kind of bullshit that is, so we can look back with fresh eyes. And
Right.
like,
He
so
wasn't going to be
what?
like, in 2019, this is not going to matter.
This shit's not going to hold up in court.
So they were pretty much telling him, like, just take the test, you pass it, and then what? What do we have on you? You said you didn't do it. We have no proof that you did it, and you're saying that you didn't do it, and the lie detector is also confirming that. And he's like, yeah, but no.
But I didn't do it.
Yeah, exactly. But they're also like putting him on blast a little. Like they're putting his face in the newspaper. They're getting it out there for sure.
Be on the lookout for this guy.
Yeah. So his family's turned on him. His children are already gone due to his physical beating of them, and his wife had chosen him over the children at this point. So Alice is still standing by his side. But at some point, his brother-in-law, worried about his sister, came over and confronted Harvey about the girl who was missing. At this point, Harvey showed that levels had prevailed and had a nice conversation with his brother-in-law to try to explain his innocence. Just lying. He attacked and pretty savagely beat his brother-in-law for trying to bring it up. Right.
That's the reasonable response. I'm not a violent person. How dare you bring that up? I'm going to kick the shit out of you.
Yes, indeed. At this point, his wife and family decided that they're going to go ahead and tell the police everything they know. So the police did what they could with the info that they got, but she's still like living with him and pretending that everything is okay while taking all new information and feeding it to the police. At one point, they find out that Harvey is saying goodbyes and approach him. He looks like he's heading out of town. Harvey tells them that they've ruined his business, so he plans to go to Colorado for 8 days to look for work. He did not go to Colorado, but back to Minnesota. And Kathy's body was found a few months later.
Him.
Yeah. Juke.
Fool me once.
All right.
Fool me, can't get fooled again. Her body is found a few months later by two boys hiking on the Indian reservation in Everett, Washington. She was bundled in a sheet of plastic and beaten with a hammer, leaving nickel-sized holes in her skull. Ooh. Nice, right? Ouch. Yeah. Her body was too decomposed to identify, let alone look for physical evidence from her attacker. Her fingerprints were too far gone, and she was identified eventually through her dental records. Yeah, her mother was broken over the discovery, and she did not want to believe that her daughter could be gone. She had actually just recently purchased the 10-speed bike that her daughter had wanted for her birthday, just in case she came home. So she was like still holding out fucking hope. Oof. Yeah. The two detectives, Holman and Bowman, promised her that they would not give up until the case was closed. So like, just because your daughter's, we found her dead, doesn't mean this is over for us. Like, it's just fucking beginning.
That's terrifying. He's got so many more kills to make.
Yeah. On June 28th, 1973, a woman named Mary Townsend was attacked by Carignan while waiting at a bus stop. He attacked her from behind, knocking her unconscious, and she awoke as she was in his vehicle once more. He's all about like dragging half-conscious people into his vehicles. It's kind of his jam.
He's super strong.
Yeah.
What else are you gonna do?
Yeah, I suppose. So she regains consciousness inside his vehicle as he began to command sexual favors when she managed to leap from the vehicle to escape. So, hey,
there we go.
Get on out of there.
Back before the child safety locks.
Yeah.
Tuck and roll.
So remember at this point, too, Alice is still like standing by him pretty strong while feeding the details to the detectives. During this month, Harvey is arrested for the assault of his wife, Alice. So she came out and said, like, he's beating me on multiple occasions, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, all right, we can put arrest in on that. Alice decides during his arrest, this is the good time to go ahead and leave Harvey Carignan. Harvey Carignan. Harvey spends only a few days in jail, but then decides to go to Minnesota for good. During this time away from Alice, he was constantly trying to get back with her through letters. And she was like, fuck, these are good. Apparently, like, besides being strong, he was quite charming. Oh. So he would write her a good letter, and she would
see it.
Yeah, she would get it and be like, damn it, son of a fucking bitch.
I totally see it. I could see him right now just writing her poetry about how strong he is.
He was just drawing a giant eggplant before the eggplant emoji was around. Like,
it says that
mailing it out.
He wrote her every single day, and that although he had been and was still quite gruff, he was quite the charmer as far as his letters and poetry went. So he was a fucking tough ass guy who would lift up the front of his truck and drop it down, but also he had that
I got strong arms, but a soft heart. No, wait, he's from Minnesota.
Minnesota.
I
So
got strong arms and a soft heart.
he's
don't
from
you know?
Fargo, North Dakota.
Oh, that's right.
September 9th, 1973, picks up a hitchhiker named Jerry Billings, who was 13 years old. She was hitchhiking rides in Minneapolis to reach her boyfriend's house when Carignan pulled up and offered her a ride. Inside the car, he threatened Jerry with a hammer, forced her to fillet him, and ram the hammer's handle in and out of her vagina. When he finished with her, Carignan released this battered captive, but the incident was so humiliating that the girl maintained it as a closely guarded secret for a period of several months.
Nah, see, when something like that happens, I know it sucks, but you got to go say something.
Yeah,
Like that's how they catch them.
we will help you.
Don't ask, don't tell, bro. Don't you know?
Oh no.
No, that's different. That's for the people who can't be in the army anymore.
Oh.
Okay,
It's
so
not my business.
May of 1974, he gives up on Alice, his wife, who's just not responding to any of the letters that he's sending. He's getting his letters back like maybe 10 to 1 to what he's sending. He begins dating and living with Eileen Hunley, who he picked up hitchhiking after moving to Minnesota. She thought that she could convert him into a man of God. She felt the presence from him and felt that it was quite a good one. She's a very bad judgment of character. Well, he decides that he's gonna have to move in with her. Question number 10: how long would it take her to realize that Harvey was not who he said he was? Okay, question number 10: how long would it take her to realize that Harvey was not who he said he was? 48 hours. 6 months, says Josh. And wait. Oh, after he didn't put the toilet seat down?
Yeah.
Can you give me a time? I mean, I appreciate the creative answer. 1 day. So 48 hours, 1 day, 6 months.
Yes, sir.
We're going to give it 48 hours. Yeah, who is that again?
Yeah.
Yeah, goddamn Greg. Because after 2.5 months, Eileen broke off their relationship, realizing that she was not going to be able to turn him to God.
Oh.
What?
We have had 10 Sundays and you have been to church 0 times.
You sound like Huelhauser whenever you talk like that.
Thank you.
Okay, so 2250 Greg, 1750 Josh, 500 Bigfoot. Hey, you're here though. You know what I'm saying? We need someone. Okay, so she leaves him, realizes that she's not going to be able to convert him to a man of God. Question number 11. We're going right back to it. What does Harvey do about it? Does he refuse to leave, kill her, beat her, or he just leaves willingly? Like, you know what? I just got to fucking walk away from this. Does he refuse to leave, kill her, beat her, or leaves willingly? Casey says red rum. Greg said beat her. And Josh said refuse to leave. Bigfoot's going to get 215 points because on August 10th, 1974, Eileen Hunley completely disappeared. Her body was found 5 weeks later in Shelburne County. Her skull had been crushed by repeated blows to the head. It was determined that she had been raped with a tree branch as well.
Jesus Christ.
I mean,
Yeah. She broke up with him. He killed the fuck out of her.
It's a reasonable response.
Yeah, she's found a couple weeks later. A few weeks after that, September 8th, 1974, June Lynch, who was 17, and Lisa King, who was 16, were picked up by Carignan while they were hitchhiking rides in Minneapolis. Carignan offered them money if they would help him fetch another car that he had stranded in a rural area. He said it was his son's car and that it had to run out of gas. He had already taken his son to the location, but he needed help retrieving the car. So essentially, like, my son ran out of gas. I took him where he needs to go. Can you guys just go back to the other car with me and drive it back so I can get some gas in it and I'll figure it out from there? Like, I don't want it sitting out there. I'll give you $20 or whatever. And it's 1974, so, you know.
I don't have my laptop, so I can't.
Well, it's fine, but what I'm saying is, like, they're hitchhiking, so it's $24, so it's probably $60 or $80. You know, it's like, it's a good chunk of change to just go drive with some dude to like help him grab a car really quick. And you get to drive someone else's car. That's always fun too. He said that, that it was his son's car. Once they reached the outskirts of town in his vehicle, Carignan stopped the car and took June into a wooded area to get the car. Suddenly, he turned and began to hit June in the head and face with a hammer. Lisa, hearing the struggle, was able to escape on foot. While she was running for help, Carignan sped off, leaving June on the roadside to die.
She should have taken his car, I feel like. I mean, that seems like that would have been the move.
I think he had the keys. I think her only move was to just get out.
That seems sketchy.
September 14th, 1974, Carignan picked up Gwen Burton from a Sears parking lot. Her car was broken down, and he offered help. While looking under the hood, he said that God told him to kill Gwen Burton because she was a whore. He told her to jump in so that he could take her to his house to grab some tools, and then back so that they could work on the car. She thought that he was just being a nice helping man and jumped in the truck to get some help. Once Harvey got to a more deserted area, he ripped her clothing off, choked her into a semi-conscious state, and sexually assaulted her with a hammer. So back to it, Greg.
Back to the hammer.
Yeah. Carignan dumped her body in a nearby field in a ravine.
Hammer time.
So he beats her mercilessly, throws her into a ravine, and pieces out. However, she happens to survive. So, let's see.
I mean, good. You know, I'm glad she didn't die, but
she was able to crawl to the roadside for help. She had to climb out of the 6-foot hole and crawl 300 yards while nearly bleeding to death with multiple broken ribs. She said when she first woke and she thought that she wanted to just go back to sleep, but remembered that her sister just had a baby and she had not seen it yet. So she woke up in a puddle of her own blood. She had been left for dead. And that was what kept her going. She wanted to see her new niece.
do you suppose, if her and her niece ever disagree?
I lived for you.
Right? Do you have any idea what I've been through just to see your ass and you're not even going to call me on my birthday?
She used that as her motivation and would crawl 2 to 3 feet and then rest. And she had some pretty serious injuries from the beating, including her skull being fractured and puncturing parts of her brain.
Good God.
Yeah.
I mean, the broken ribs thing is fucking bad enough. I've cracked some ribs and trying to move around and shit is fucking...
Yeah.
Well, the brain doesn't have nerve endings, so you're all right. I mean,
yeah,
it doesn't feel anything.
She said the thing that freaked her out the most, she knew that that it was poking into her brain. She just knew the way that they were shattered and charred.
It's self-aware.
Yeah. So let's see. September 18th of the same year, Sally Versoy and Diane Flynn were picked up by Carignan. He forced them to perform oral sex and would beat them if they didn't follow the command. The two girls were able to escape when Carignan stopped for fuel. The two girls would later say in court that one of the first questions Harvey asked them was if they'd rather be raped or killed.
Oh.
We were playing Would You Rather a little bit earlier tonight. It was not these two questions.
Killed.
Yeah, they both said that. They both told him we'd.
Well, I didn't say in which order.
Yeah.
Well, so I like the fact that they escaped when he went to get fuel. First of all, I mean, I really genuinely like the fact that they escaped. But he stopped to get fuel. He was like, "Wait here. I'm gonna go put $20 on the pump and get some Funyuns. You guys want some water or something?" And
break me off a piece of that fancy feast.
Don't tell him.
So, they got away, which we're all excited and happy for. On September 24th of 1974, he was pulled over and arrested due to Gwen's description of his car. As police searched his possessions, they found a map of the United States with 181 circles on it. Some of these circles identified places where he had applied for jobs and purchased cars, but other identified several bodies that had been discovered. They were also associated with areas in which other unsolved crimes against women were taking place. Carignan was arrested for attempted murder of Gwen Burton, who identified him in a lineup. On February 19th, 1975, Harvey was tried for attempted murder and aggravated sodomy. He pled not guilty by reason of insanity, claiming that God told him to kill those women. During the trial, his own defense...
but did they tell you to rape him with a hammer?
During the trial, his own defense put all the details of his crimes out in order to show how insane he was. It was, I guess, one of the first people to take this tactic of getting guilty by reason of insanity is being all of the bombshells the prosecution had ready to drop for the jury. The defense on their opening statement was yeah, here. This is all this. He's fucking crazy. We're telling you right now, this guy's fucking nuts. That's what the prosecution is going to tell you too. We're telling you, we know we need him to be in a hospital, not prison for the rest of his life. So Harvey was tried on the aggravated murder, attempted murder, and aggravated sodomy. Every woman who wanted their day in court would get it against him. He was convicted and received the maximum of 40 years in prison. So in Minnesota, if it's not murder, you can't get more than 40 years for any crime. Doesn't matter if they take you and you've committed 75 crimes that are just fucking heinous, but they're not murder. You get 40 years. That's the maximum in Minnesota. So since no criminal in Minnesota may be sentenced to a term exceeding 40 years, the other trials and sentences were merely what they called window dressing. But these people wanted their justice, they needed their story to be told. March 3rd of 1975, the jury was not convinced by the insanity plea and found Carignan guilty of aggravated sodomy and attempted murder. On March 7th of 1975, Carignan was sent to St. Peter's State Hospital for a pre-sentence psychiatric examination. He was diagnosed with having a severe antisocial personality disorder. On April 18th, Carignan was found guilty on 4 counts of sodomy and indecent liberties in the attack on Jerry Billings. On May 5th, he was sentenced to 30 years for the sodomy of Jerry Billings and 30 years for the sodomy of Gwen Burton. He was only ordered to serve 40 of those 60 years. On June 19th, he's indicted on murder charges against Catherine. He's also indicted on murder charges against Eileen Hunley. And on September 4th, he's indicted on murder charges against Catherine Schultz. So this will get you beyond 40 years. You have 3 murders on there. That's no fucking joke. On February 9th, Carignan waived his right and took the stand where he pled guilty to the murder of Kathy Schultz and received a sentence of another 40 years. Under Minnesota law, he could serve no more than those 40 years. By pleading guilty, he would avoid the life sentence and only serve the 40 years. So that was part of his bargain.
So are these all he's serving one 40-year stint or is it 40 years and then the next sentence kicks in? And then
Nope, 40 years max. It's just 40 years.
So he's just serving 40 years for all the crimes.
Yeah. Unless it's the death penalty.
Dang.
Yeah. That is a life sentence. And
What happens if you get sentenced to life and death?
Okay. Yeah, so he's going to serve 40 years. So up to this point in his life, how many years has he spent inside a prison? He's 51, by the way. All right, Bigfoot said 27. Josh said 21. Greg said 19. So you guys are all pretty close in your guesses. He had spent 22 years. Josh is going to get 250 more points. Yeah, 22 years.
I was hoping it was 20.
Oh, yeah.
A little Price is Right split there.
Yeah, I'd have come out on top on that.
Okay, so Josh goes up 2,000. Or no, Greg's still up 2,250. Josh 2,000. Bigfoot with one sad little 750 square.
Not so big now.
But he's trying. Yeah, take that, average foot.
No. Okay, so for his after every trial, he got 30 years for the assault on Jerry Billings, 40 years for Eileen Hunley's murder, 40 years for killing Kathy Schultz, 150 years in all for all of his crimes. But he only may serve 40 years with the usual time off for good behavior. All they needed to do was get him for first-degree murder to keep him in. That's what it is. So it's first-degree murder. Premeditated murder, you can do way longer than 40 years. On June 24th, 1976, he's found guilty of first-degree murder for Eileen Hunley and sentenced to life in prison. In 1978, the Minnesota Supreme Court heard his appeal, and on August 11th of 1978, the Minnesota Supreme Court upheld Harvey's conviction. Harvey had spent most of his life to this point inside the cell walls of a prison. Why not fucking continue that forever? Question number 13. In what year would Harvey Carignan die? All right. So Bigfoot said 93. Greg said, was it 84?
Yeah.
And Josh said that he's still alive. Damn, he's almost 100, right?
Yep.
So
Old piece of shit.
Josh is going to tie this thing up right here. 250 points because so far as I can tell, he's still alive. In 1997, he developed prostate cancer and beat it.
Well, fuck.
And
winner.
yeah, and so he's I actually went down a fucking rabbit hole to find this, and I was like in this thread where someone was like, no, look, I just called the prison, like here's my call log, and someone was like, well, that's bullshit. We don't want to see your call log to the prison. We want to see. So then all of a sudden someone was like, well, here, look, I got this file and this report, and like he was still alive as of 2 weeks ago. And so from what I can see, he's very old. He's been moved to a facility for older inmates. But yeah, he's let's see.
Hole in the back.
Yeah. So in 1997, he developed prostate cancer, but is said to have beat it and moved from the prison to Faribault, a facility that takes care of older prisoners in need of medical assistance. So far as I can see, he is still alive today. So I've got one more little article for you guys. I know it's late, but it's the last question too. So pew, 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 pew. This could
Casey,
fucking...
you got this, dog.
I got it, bro.
Casey, how about this?
Wait, if we both miss it.
It's going to be a tie, and we'll have to figure something out.
Casey
Bigfoot challenge?
Casey gets a... I was just going to say, you get a Bigfoot challenge.
Yeah, I do like that.
right.
I do like that. Okay. You could still guess for fun. So my last article is going to be based loosely on a movie. Which movie? Is it A, Liar Liar? B, The Cable Guy? C, The Truman Show? Or D, The Number 23? There's a theme with these. Did you see the Jim Carrey theme?
Yeah.
Is it Liar Liar, Cable Guy, Truman Show, or The Number 23? This is fucking huge for either Greg or Josh because it could mean the difference in a W. All right, we've got Cable Guy from both Josh and Bigfoot, and we've got Liar Liar from Greg. Start thinking of that Bigfoot challenge because nobody got it. This article is going to be loosely based on The Truman Show.
No. That's like one of my 3 fucking irrational fears.
So let's talk about it a little bit.
Great.
And while by the time we get to the end of it, think of something fast-ish that they don't have to work on for too long. I have some Legos in there maybe we could snap together. We could just have them draw on the back of a note card, whatever you see fit. You could make it Truman Show-esque even if you like.
You're all monsters.
Greg said, no!
There's a camera there. There's a camera there.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've all seen you jerk off, Greg.
Great.
The Truman Show Delusion. This was posted by Emily Thompson on Morbidology.com. The Truman Show is a 1998 movie starring Jim Carrey. The plot follows Truman Burbank, a married man living a seemingly idyllic life on an island named Sea Haven. He has a good job, a loving wife, and everybody is his buddy. What Truman doesn't know, however, is that every single person other than himself living in Sea Haven is an actor, and that the island has been constructed underneath a massive dome, and that several thousand cameras have watched his every single move since birth and documented it on a television show out in the real world. When he discovers the truth, he fights to find an escape from his phony life. In 2008, brothers Dr. Joel Gold, a psychiatrist, and Dr. Ian Gold, a neurophilosopher, coined the term the Truman Show delusion. The delusion afflicts people who are convinced that every waking moment of their life is being filmed for a secret reality show. Dr. Joel Gold encountered his first Truman patient in 2003 while working as an attending psychiatrist in the psychiatrist ward at the Bellevue Hospital. A 26-year-old assembly plant worker named Albert had been admitted to the hospital after complaining that his family members were just actors on an unscripted television show and where he was the unwitting lead character. So can you imagine going to the hospital and like, oh, what's wrong, sir? Is it on the scale of 1 to 10? Are you a little boo-boo or a real big ouchie? And he's like, my whole family is actors and they're watching me and I'm the star of a television show. You're an actor too.
Sir, this is a body hospital. You need a head hospital.
Just follow me here.
See, that's one of my biggest fears, and I don't think it's actually happening. But if it were to be like a thing, I would shit like actual bricks. You know what I mean? Like I'm not like narcissistic enough to be like it's happening. That's a real thing.
Yep.
And I mean, obviously, we put ourselves out there, but if it actually were to be real, I would freak the actual fuck out.
I hope you get way more famous than me. So early on in their research into the perplexing delusion, the two brothers encountered 5 patients suffering from the Truman Show delusion. Several of them even specifically mentioned the Truman Show to explain their delusions. A visual artist named Brian was admitted to the hospital shortly after he had similar delusions to the prior patient. There was a computer engineer, an MIT professor, and a lawyer, all of whom believed the exact same thing. That they were all being secretly filmed for some kind of reality show. I thought I was being followed, like the Truman Show, and I was a hit. People were following me all over the world, said another patient. One patient, an Army veteran, stated, I realized that I was and am the center, the focus of attention by millions and millions of people. The brothers started to present their observations at medical schools. Afterward, their research spread. The brothers collected over 100 similar cases. Quote, I started to think there's something really going on here, said Dr. Joel Gold. What struck me was how all-encompassing the Truman Show delusion is. What does it say about our society with cameras on every corner, Snowden, Prism, drones, YouTube, overnight fame, all of those with genetic predispositions might be pushed over the edge. One patient flew to New York City following 9/11 to make sure that the terrorist attacks were not a plot twist in his reality show. So this guy woke up on the morning of 9/11, got himself a plane ticket after he saw that shit on CNN and was like, I'm going to go just make sure that this isn't just, they're not fucking with me. And
There
flew to
better
New
be
York.
3,000 dead people or I'm going to be pissed off.
Oh, why are we laughing?
Oh,
So, the brothers started to present their observation in medical schools. Yep. I started to think there's something really going on here. Yep, already said that. One patient flew to New York. Yep. Another patient wanted to climb the Statue of Liberty, where his true love would be waiting for him, and the puppeteer strings would be cut. If she wasn't there, he would just jump to his death. There was also another patient who was convinced.
Well, what happened?
He never made it to the Statue of Liberty.
So his true love's just like hella old up there waiting for him.
That's probably exactly what's happening. There was also another patient who was convinced that everything, the news, his psychiatrist, the drugs he was prescribed, was part of the show. Von Bell, a psychologist who has researched internet-related delusions, described one of his own patients who believed he was in a virtual reality universe in the 1999 film The Matrix. So this guy was just like, I'm in the Matrix right now. Are you Neo?
No, you're Agent Smith. I know you are.
And that person is now Leonard Susskind, one of the greatest theoretical physicists of our day.
There you go.
That hologram theory.
While the movie The Truman Show is a heartwarming watch, in the end, the delusion is often horrifying for the patients. Typically, the delusion is a combination of paranoia, grandiosity, and the ideas of reference, which means that the patients believe that they are receiving signals that are not being specifically meant for them. The wish for fame is a form of grandiosity, and the fear of threats is such as surveillance can be about paranoia, said Dr. Ian Gold. British psychiatrists describe the disorder in the British Journal of Psychiatry as a preoccupying belief that the world has changed in some way that other people were aware of, which interpreted as indicating that there was a subject of film and living in a film set or a fabricated world. The cluster of symptoms is a common presenting complaint in individuals who may be in the prodromal phase of schizophrenia. The Truman Show delusion is a new twist on an old mental illness, persecutory or grandiose delusion disorders, both of which are manifestations of psychosis. Scientists have had that disorder underscores the influence pop culture can have on mental conditions. The question is really, is this just a new twist on an old paranoid or grandiose delusion, or is there some sort of perfect storm in the culture we're in which fame holds such high value, said Dr. Joel Gold. Dr. Joel Gold has likened mental illness and lung cancer in the past. He said that some people can smoke several packs of cigarettes a day and not get lung cancer, while others get lung cancer even though they don't smoke. Many more, though, have genetic inclinations but need a trigger for the cancer to occur. Culture, Gold argues, is a mental illness, equivalent to lung cancer's cigarettes. While the chemical causes of psychosis remain constant, it is true that the delusions themselves find a vary depending on the culture and era. For example, in desert regions, people can suffer from a delusion known as turbisosis, which is the belief that they are covered in sand. In Shanghai, deluded people often believe that they are being pricked with poisonous needles. In 1940s America, people suffering from delusions often thought that their minds were being controlled by Japanese via radio waves. In the 1950s, these mind controllers became Soviet spies with satellites, and in the 1970s, people began to report that the CIA was implanting with their dental fillings and through control chips. The Truman Show delusion is not officially recognized nor listed in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of the American Psychiatric Association. So maybe you learned something there, Greg, or maybe you're freaked out more. I'm not sure where you're landing here.
Well, I don't know, man. I'm feeling all kinds of stuff now. The Truman Show is like one of the scariest things that I can think of. That's why I don't like gang stalking.
You know what one of the scariest things you should think of is?
No.
That you're tied for the lead with Josh, and it's a Bigfoot challenge.
That is scary.
So you're going to just have them draw?
No, I'm going to have them write.
Okay.
Harvey was a poet, right?
Yes, yes, he was quite a poet.
If Harvey titled his poetry, what's the title of his greatest poetical work?
Oh, like, okay, is this a book of his greatest hits, or is this his
his
greatest
one
single
greatest
poem?
Yeah. What's the title of it?
What's the title of it? Greg's got the early 2000s pop punk title going over there. I slept with someone in Fall Out Boy, and all I got was this song written about me.
If you guys don't mind, give them to Jesse so he can read them, so then I don't know whose handwriting I'm reading.
Yeah, truth. Although I just kind of gave Greg's away. I'm sorry.
Well, his could be long too. You don't know.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more round than it is long.
Like a hockey puck and a sombrero. I get it.
Oh, hammer, where art thou? Or to the slammer with a hammer, killing my way across the USA.
Going to the slammer with a hammer.
To the slammer with a hammer, killing my way across the USA. Congratulations, Hella Greg.
Thank you.
You have taken home a victory on your first time playing in quite some time. So
Feels good to get out and stretch the legs.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I believe last one of the more recent episodes, we were being a little braggadocious about how good you were when you competed, and here you are taking down a W. So
once again, I stand by my initial comment that he saw the outline, and you guys just said he didn't see the outline.
I would never do that.
I would, but I'm not doing that.
Also, I mean, Greg's my boy. I don't think he's gonna sit there and memorize all the questions that I wrote on that outline for this.
Don't have to memorize them. Got them.
Also,
down.
remember what day it is for 7 more minutes. Yeah,
Not remembering shit.
We gave you guys all the news and shit to find us at the top. Congratulations, Hella Greg, you won it. Thank you, Bigfoot and Josh. I know it's late as fuck, man. We ate a bunch of food and hung out all late, but
That's good.
That's what we do here, man. That's what we do here.
It's the Super Network experience.
Exactly. Thank you, Greg, for coming up from the bunker to join us here in the studio. I know you got locked out. We'll get the locksmith, the bunker locksmith
That's
in here.
The problem. They go through so many. You got to kill them after they come out.
Yeah, I get it. But so
it's all Genghis Khan.
we'll wait for him and we'll get you back in. Make sure you guys just check us out on all the social medias we told you about. Rate and review where you can. It helps a ton. Bigfoot, where do they find you again?
www.biggfootdesigns.com.
Yeah,
that's right. I forgot about the website.
Yeah.
Feels like it was so long ago.
On that grown man.
Yeah. Josh, is there anything you'd like to share at the end here?
I just hope no one goes to your new website.
Just kidding. Check it out.
I was
It's
going to
good.
say, are you Homer breaking the wishbone, wishing for the leftorium to fail?
Nah, that website's dope. You should check it out.
Peep game. And of course, Hella Greg.
Again, shout out to Kilometers Tiny. You owe your friend $50. At Hella Greg on all your favorite social medias. My wife paints stuff. Go look at it. Listen to the Super Simpson show. Motherfuck Dre, motherfuck Snoop, motherfuck Death Row. I think that's all I got.
And don't talk to strangers.
But they have the best candy.
This is Brittany, and you've just listened to another podcast from Super Network.